When the dust of the American Civil War had finally settled, a new era in American history was about to be born. While the United States had begun to see an increase in growth of industrialization, the Gilded Age was about to bring a whole new level of development that was unprecedented in the country. Between the years 1800 and 1880, the United States population increased by 10 times and was continuing to grow. Immigrants were also flowing into American cities, the demand for jobs increased, and the western frontier was still expanding. But with all these new developments, one big question emerged. Could the United States handle the change their country was about to face? Without the technological advancements seen during the Gilded Age, American society would not have experienced the same change in economy, transportation, and overall lives of their population that it did. No technological advancement was more significant or important to the development of the late 19th century than the railroads. Increased railroad mileage allowed for growth in economic markets as they promoted the mass transportation of goods across significant distances. The federal government used railroads to increase western settlement by giving federal grants in the form of land. Some 170 million acres were given to railroad companies to build new lines to increase settlement. No railroads were more important to the development of the country during this period than the transcontinental railroads. The idea between these railroads was to make the country more interconnected as a whole. The first two transcontinental railroads built were the Union Pacific, which ran from Nebraska to the west, and the Central Pacific, which ran towards the east from Northern California. By the time of 1900, 4 other transcontinental railroads were constructed across the country, and their effects were significant. The economic and social landscape of the country had changed drastically. With the Gilded Age came new and greater access to natural resources that were not as prominent in the years prior. This was primarily due to new discoveries within the American frontier. One of the most abundant resources was oil, which was first discovered in 1859 and did not take long for rising businessmen to see its value. Oil played a large role in the development of industrialized cities as its uses were vast. Oil would be the resource completely controlled by business tycoon John D. Rockefeller and led to the rise of many big businesses. Other raw materials also made an impact on the Industrial Revolution, such as coal and iron. Iron was extracted from mines along the western frontier and was primarily used in building railroad tracks. Along with iron came the mass production of coal, which was used to power steam engines and produce heat in furnaces. Without these natural resources, many of the industries that came to be during this period would have never had the impact that they did, and the legacy of the Gilded Age would have been much different. The Industrial Revolution would not have taken place without the success of new inventions during the late 19th century. Inventions such as Samuel Morse's telegraph, Alexander Graham's Bell telephone, and Thomas Edison's light bulb all changed the way the country worked and increased the overall productivity of Americans. The first of these great achievements was the invention of the telegraph. Samuel Morse successfully created a way for electronic communication from long distances, sending codes using what is known as Morse code. The telegraph sparked the growth of larger communication systems that grew across the country and even spread beyond American land. However, this invention would soon be overtaken by a much more significant advancement in the form of a telephone. While still allowing people to communicate with each other, the telephone significantly decreased the time for messages to be received compared to the telegraph. Thomas Edison, who is known as one of the most influential inventors in American history, was able to create new concepts regarding the mechanics of electricity. Edison's ideas were so successful that he and his team produced over 1,000 patented inventions. Edison's most famous invention came in 1879 when he invented incandescent lighting, which would eventually be known as the light bulb. All these inventions played a role in the further development of the industrializing America, especially when it came to making the country more connected and making the productivity of American factories more efficient. Without the birth of new technology during the Gilded Age, the United States would have never become the industrialized nation we know today. The late 19th century was filled with many new developments that changed the way people lived, especially new technologies that improved the overall quality of life for Americans and prompted the move toward a more progressive era.